We're live.
We are live. Hooray. We always say this, don't we? Because we never know we're live.
We're surprised.
You're the one that says push play, and I'm the one that says hello. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to another issue of MZ TV. Today, it is just Zec and myself. Hello. Because I was lazy and I couldn't arrange a guest. So, we're going to be talking about transport, getting around when you're disabled. Welcome to MZ TV. MZ TV.
I'm always a bit premature.
Yes, you are. That's it. Oh dear. Well, hello. Today we're talking transport. I think it came to mind because we are both at the moment talking quite a lot about these new power attachments that come for wheelchairs.
Yeah, for wheelchairs, nothing else, not just a power attachment. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, that's it. But we're talking about the bit that bolts on the front. Because I've just got one, and there it is, by a company called Batec. And Zec is looking at one. And what's yours by? He says, trying to get sponsorship.
Oh, blimey, you could have told me he was going to say Rehasense. It's the Rehasense City 14.
Right. And of course, Zec has got a GoFundMe page because they're not blooming cheap. And so, and of course, so if the company that makes them is a call listening, and we will be linking to them afterwards, we're more than happy to be sponsored by you, so Zec can get one. Oh dear! Can't you review one for your review page and then just go?
Well, I've been chatting with Lifestyle and Mobility in Southend, who I went to visit the other day to have a look at them all, and they're going to make me an ambassador, and so I will get a bit of a deal, and I'm going to look at see if I can get them to sponsor my YouTube channel, etc.
I just see that Joel Nelson has joined. Now, of course, if you like Mik, if you want to see more, and this isn't enough, after this at 7:00, I'm going on Joel's podcast.
You are?
Guest talking about chronic pain. So we won't be talking about pain this show, mainly because I want to save all my thunder for Joel's show.
No wonder you've had a nap first.
I know. Oh, don't, folks, don't. And there I was. Right, I went out on my chair. So I got the chair a couple of weeks ago. It kind of went a bit weird. They had an engineer around, fixed it lovely. It's all great. It was a very silly problem. A cable had broken somewhere, and the poor guy took it all apart. I mean, apart, and then put it all back together again, and then found out that some little cable had broken. Anyway, so we fixed it. It's all lovely. So I went out today, and I went proper out. All the way up to Primrose Hill, all around the back of Primrose Hill, lovely. I took it on the pavement for a little bit with it setting at 4 miles an hour maximum. And then I thought, no, it's quiet. I'm going to try on the road. So then I turned it up to the higher speed, which is, I think, about 15 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is because I haven't transferred it in my brain yet. So I'm going along at 15 kilometers an hour going, yeah, this is great. So I thought, right, I'm going to try it on the full speed.
Just below 10 miles an hour, isn't it?
20 kilometers an hour. It's about 12 miles an hour on top speed. It's terrifying. And it's also terrifying because then I realized that people are like lemmings. So they're now crossing the road in front of a wheelchair going at 12 miles an hour. Much to their consternation, shall we say, as they realize, especially when they realize that their dog, who is running in front of them, is now in the way of becoming dog pizza. So I have never had to brake so hard so many times. Anyway, so I'm out driving around, and I get to just at the top of my road, and my battery light is, and then it just cuts out. So I have to push my chair home with this great big thing on the front, with my back killing me because of surgery.
It's not easy when they're attached, is it, to push?
No. Got home, got in the house, swore quite a lot, charged up the battery and collapsed. And this is about, 3. About 25 to 6, I wake up on the sofa having completely passed out, and they're running around trying to get ready. So if I seem a little manic, it's because I still haven't quite woken up yet. It's
bad enough with people. You say people getting in your way. We would say people tend to do the opposite, even when you're just in your wheelchair, or either get, oh, sorry, and they're falling in your lap, or you're going along a hospital corridor that's like 10 feet wide, and they're throwing themselves against the wall, going, "Go on, you go."
Well,
Right.
I look upon that last one as a dream I've yet to witness. You see, I live in Camden, which is like living in Southend at the peak of a bank holiday weekend.
Yes, true.
All the blooming while. And I went into town first and thought, this is suicidal, because people not only don't get out of your way, but they have a moment where their brain stops working because they go, "What the bloody hell is that?" Because you're sitting there like, Harley Davidson monster driving towards them on the pavement. And so honest to God, I did only from probably less than say 30 kilometers along Camden High Street. And 30 meters along Camden High Street, should I say. And I had to get off because I don't think I went above 2 kilometers an hour the entire section, because of the fact that people are worse when you have a power attachment on than they are when you don't. And we all know, any wheelchair user will tell you, that pedestrians, when there's a lot of them, are probably the most annoying element of being a wheelchair user. They're even worse than cobbles.
I think the worst thing I had was the Southend Air Show. I was fairly new to being in a wheelchair, and so go on, I'll go. Bank holiday, Southend Seafront. The air show's in town, and I'm 6'4", so I'm used to previously being stood above everyone seeing. All of a sudden, I'm in BO City, smelly ass cracking armpits world, trying to push through, trying to be polite, and by the end, I was so peed off. All you could hear was people going, as I just pushed my way through across toes and bashed ankles.
I think that it's something I've always been amazed by, because, and anyone that follows me on Twitter knows how much I moan about cobbles and pedestrians, bipeds as they are called in my world. And it is because they just don't think logically. Like, you're coming towards them. You are a thing on wheels. You can do that. You can do this, but you can't jump. Whereas they can sidestep. So they could step out of your way. And instead, no, they don't. And
that's just human nature in general. I can always remember the first time we were on blue lights in the fire service and seeing people's reactions as you come up behind. It was two tones then. It wasn't the woo woo, it was back then. And people do the most stupid things. One guy just slammed his brakes on. And honestly, the stupidity, and I think it's just human nature.
But imagine that the same response to having a siren and blue lights behind you.
Maybe that's what we need.
Is gained from seeing someone in a wheelchair coming towards you. It's like, it's not quite the same as something's really bad's happening, get out of the way. It's, I probably should sensibly step sideways, or at least get out of this guy's way, because he hasn't got the mobility compared to me. Instead, it's almost like they go, right, chicken, go on, I dare you. And you're like,
oh, I dare.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Camden, I'm probably not anyone that's ever been to Camden Town, not for the last year. Obviously, I've not been well. But before that, I'm sure that people came to Camden to go shopping, to see the market, to meet Zombie Punk on the bridge, and to hear the swearing cripple bloke. Because get out, give way, you stupid.
I could see one benefit of them, though, and that is that it will avoid the one where somebody's in front of you and they don't look and they step back and end up sat on your lap, whereas they're just going to hit this attachment and roll over.
I've had that. To be honest, though, the sitting on your lap thing, if you're clever and single, it can work out to your favour. I won't deny the fact that as a youth, I would use the clever use of the caster to cause ladies who I liked to either be accidentally run over or accidentally fall on my lap. And both ways, I'd say, I'm so sorry.
So you're saying that you had to injure the ladies to put them on par with you before you could talk to them?
Well, it was just if you need an opening line, an accidental toe squash is a brilliant one. I'm so sorry. Let me buy you a drink.
No, I can't.
And
I actually
many a
can't see.
conversation has been begun
I
like
can't
that.
see. It had never crossed my mind to injure a woman before approaching her to talk to her. I mean, I mean,
Well, I mean, the other thing, of course, is if you find that you're trying to run them over and they're fleet of foot, then you know they're the girl for you. You know, I'm now married to an ex-ballerina who really can. It's terrifying how you can just get out of my way. I think I've run her over twice in our entire 23-year relationship.
oh, I've run everyone over, even the dog. Everyone's had their toes.
My
Yeah.
aunt does this thing where she puts her foot between my wheels, my back and my front wheel, to stop me moving when she wants to tell me off.
What sort of a stride like that?
She'll stand there, and then I'll just notice that her foot is between my wheels, so I can't move. So, because I don't want to run her over, so she'll just do that, and then I'm trapped, and then she can tell me off, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And as you can imagine, dear viewer, there's a lot of being told off in our relationship because I am a person of quite an annoying nature. Anyway, so transport. Right, let's have a look. What are some of the things people talking about? Because, of course, I'm a little bit blurry-eyed because I fell asleep with my contacts in. So they're a little bit not working properly.
We've had recently, again, my brain has totally gone because I was at that mare making thing, sat in my wheelchair for so many hours. And
before we talk about anything, your wife, wonderful Donna, he's now a counsellor.
Yeah, I've slept with a counsellor.
Yes.
I've slept with a counsellor, yeah.
Did she actually got full garb?
No, she's actually, I've been winding her up, so she get in bed and I'll grab her and go, "Ooh, counsellor bum, ooh, counsellor boobies," messing around. I turned over to go to sleep and she got a finger and went like that and went, "Jewish arsehole." That was quite good for my missus. But yes, I went to a mare making ceremony, which was, it was like, the old mayor is there, and then the chaplain stood up and God bless our old mayor, and then he said, "God bless our new mayor, Stephen." And then they said, "Right, we open up nominations for the new mayor." And I'm like, "Hang on, you've just told us in the prayer who it's going to be. Why are you asking for nominations?" It was just a little bit too much.
Do you know what? It's funny because I used to be quite involved in the union movement. Admittedly, it was all the kind of girly movement, the unions like Equity and the NUJ.
Oh, right.
Not
so GMB.
I wasn't there on the front, up the revolution.
Arthur Scargill.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not me and Arthur. And I could not get over all of this weird, like, point of order, diddly ding fling. Who would like to second, first, and all the, and it was like. No one and nothing. This is the problem I've always thought with the left wing's way of working, because they work based around the union's functionality, and so they're very much like that. And I think that's like old Labour, like Corbyn Labour was so involved in all of that that it was just it became. I mean, this is why the whole anti-Semitic thing came out, because they were so bogged down in process that no one actually did anything. And I've been in meetings where the whole meeting has been people talking about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then you're like, so can we talk about it? Oh, no, well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the meeting now.
Well, I imagine you're very much like me, where you like your information short and sharp. Thank you very much. I've got what I need. Goodbye. You're not one of these ones that needs a whole hour to...
Well, what it is like we talk, right? And I probably talk too much, and you talk slightly less. And of course, if we were doing this in a union way, then what we'd do is we'd have a chair, and I've been the chair of several bodies on unions, and what you're meant to do is go. So okay, so the next issue on the what's it like, the running order or whatever
on the agenda.
On the agenda, that's it. Is this? So who would like to open up this subject? And then 3 people put their hand up, and then the chair goes, you, and then you, and then you. And then they start talking, and then you kind of go, okay, you've talked enough now. Next person, and then anyone got any questions? And who would like to? And then you go, okay, so what motion should we put forward about this issue? And then they also say, okay, so let's talk about motion 1. Let's talk about motion 2. Right, okay, so we've decided that motion 1 and 2 are the best. Who would like to vote for motion 1? I propose it. I second it. Who votes for it? Carried. And so you can genuinely spend an hour
Yes.
talking about what biscuits you want at lunch.
They're a special type. I tip my hat to the people that do it, because I could not sit in and do that. And no wonder when we want things sorted in the council, like, you bring a problem to the council, that it doesn't get sorted, because
the problem is, I don't care what anyone says, the problem is with councils especially, is they're some of the kind of people that go into it use it as a way of stopping things happen.
Yes.
Because I've been at council meetings, like, I do a lot in Camden and in like London about, especially talking about accessibility, which brings us back to public transport, interestingly. And I have found that you talk your bit, and then it's sort of used to stop you talking. So it's or your point becomes diluted, because someone will then go, well, would anyone like to comment upon this? Yes, you. Oh, hang on, Mick, you can't answer that yet because it's not your turn to give reply to the questions. And other people will then start saying their bit about something else. And you're like, well, where's the chair? Why isn't the chair saying, well, yeah, that's great. That's about Wednesday's meeting. Not, do you know what I mean? It's really weird. So you can end up, and Donna will find this, she'll get really frustrated.
No, she won't. She loves it.
She'll go to talk about something and find that some silly old sod will start waffling on about something completely different and ruin the whole evening. I've been to union meetings where some, people there that were like from the old guard of the sort of union, who really just go to have a cup of tea and a biscuit and meet some friends, and they will just start talking.
I have to say that it did cheer me up, because afterwards we had cake. So I was very happy with that.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, well, I mean, obviously, no self-respecting council would have any kind of meeting without any form of, sustenance afterwards. So,
yes, definitely.
But
now,
talking
back to
you've got to get to the meeting, haven't you? You've got to get to the meeting, and that means
back to transport. Now, something you've been talking about recently a lot is, now, when I went to test this cycle thing, he said to me, "Oh, it's lovely. You can get on the seafront. You could use the bike lane all the way along."
Yep.
Now, I've seen a lot of discussion around about people. Oh, yes, they're very disabled friendly because the disabled people could use them. But I can imagine I'd get straight on that cycle lane, and within a minute I would have a cyclist, because they're not wide enough, are they?
No. This cycling infrastructure, I think, was funny because it was something I definitely wanted to talk about, because anyone that follows me on Twitter knows I do a lot and moan a lot about cycling infrastructure, so much so that lots of anti-cycling people think I'm on their side, which is hilarious, because I used to have a hand cycle and now I have, Mr. Scooty Puff. And I'm going to be using London's cycling infrastructure a lot, especially now I can go at 12 miles an hour, because that's really good fun. So, but it's not built for us.
No.
If you use a tricycle, for example, you can't really safely use a lot of the narrower cycle lanes. And thinking about it, Southend cycle lane is quite narrow, isn't it?
It is. You can get two bikes past each other quite comfortably, but no, if you was in a wheelchair, I think it would be kind of. I might get handlebars.
It is doable. It is doable. I will say they would be able to get past, because when I came, when I came up to see you and go and see the Human League, that turned out to be a bloody nightmare because I fell down a pothole. Let's put a gig in a field. Let's not put any matting down to make a path at all. Let's just put a gig in a field.
I've got. There we go.
Yeah, thank you. So anyway, but I was on the seafront in a hotel, but quite a way out, and
you was down Thorpe Bay end.
Yeah, I used the cycle lanes to get in and out, because the back still hurt a bit, and I bunged my freewheel on and scooted up and down, and it was brilliant.
That's the great thing. The seafront links all the way from Shoeburyness all the way up to Leigh-on-Sea, and you can then cut in.
I mean, because one of the things, because it's funny, because I think the thing is, when we talk about transport, one of the things is getting around your area changes depending on where you live.
Yeah.
Like, I used to live in Shepherd's Bush in London, and it's pretty much flat. You can go for miles. It's very level, go all the way to the river, all the way from Shepherd's Bush all the way to Acton and Ealing. Pretty much, actually, you could probably get to Kensington without going up too much of a hill. But I live in Camden, and Camden's on the ice sheet. The ice,
on the glaciers of London.
The glaciers melted at the top of sort of the hills up in Hampstead Heath and that, and then they flowed down and carved out basically the basin of London.
Yeah.
And I live on the bit in the middle, so I'm halfway up a hill, and it does make life really complex. Southend, because it's a cliff, because it's obviously the seaside.
It is where I'm in South Church, so to get down to the seafront, it's a very sharp drop, and then to get back up into Chalkward to Southend, it's all uphill. I'm on the top here, and it all dips right down. One
of the things, I mean, at Southend Central, that I like is you've got the seafront; it's all flat, it's lovely. Then, very handily at the end of the high street is a giant lift.
There is,
when it works. Face to the top. So if anyone's thinking of going on holiday and they're a wheelchair user and they fancy a bit of seaside and a bit of a nice time, I love Southend. It's really accessible.
Southend.
But you get some funny old attitude because they're Essex boys and girls. They are a bit strange. I remember going there for a day once with Diane. I think I've told you about this. And we go to buy an ice cream, and Diane goes up, and the ice cream bloke on the seafront, the little green hut right at the front, all the ice creams in the shops and the restaurant that looks out onto the sea.
The three shells.
He goes to Diane. Oh yeah, so having a day off, playing hooky, are you? And Diane gets her ice cream. And goes, no, I'm self-employed, so I'm really lucky. I'll work at the weekend. And I wheel up, and he goes, well, I bet you're on benefits. And I was like, no, I am also self-employed. And if Diane hadn't already paid for my ice cream, I would have stuck it up your face, you git. But and what's fun, because Steve, my brother's thinking of moving out of Luton where he lives. Luton's another hilly place. I like the hilly places, obviously. And I went to New Brighton, and I said to Steve, I really like it up in the Wirral. Now, if you think Southend's great for wheelchair users, holy moly, New Brighton has got a seafront that goes on for miles, and it's absolutely flat, and it's got the longest level pedestrian promenade in the UK. Right. It's just amazing.
I think we've got about 6.8 miles from tip right the way through, but the problem is if you're pushing manually towards Shoebury, it's one of those pavements that's like that.
Yeah.
So by the time you've gone about half a mile on one arm, you've had it.
Yeah, but that's a really smart. So he's thinking of moving to Halifax and he's found this place. I'm not joking. It's a hillside like that, cobbled, with the houses built into the side. And I said, Steve, if you just don't want me to ever come round your house, just tell me.
So it's a proper bread advert, is it?
Yeah, no, it is. It's a when I was a lad, Elvis.
Right, when I was a lad.
And but I think that's the first bit we don't talk about is actually the walking bit. But people always talk about active travel and getting everyone out of their cars, but we don't talk about the fact that, like you said, pavement camber.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem for so many people. Not just us.
And also, do you know a big problem I'm having around here? Not only pavement camber, but the little yellow hatches for the water utilities.
Yeah.
They're all about 20 years old. They're UV damaged, they're frost damaged, and they're all collapsing. Yeah. My caster wheel went in one at the bottom of the road, and I nearly came out of my wheelchair.
Could
have got a few quid actually. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I nearly came out.
You did come out of your wheelchair.
I've reported it, but it's still broken, and there are so many of them like that. Pavements are dangerous. Roots of trees pushing through them, and it's just so these things will keep you safer on the pavements as well.
So I'm just looking at the stories in the thread.
I saw on Twitter, we're going to talk about transport now. Is it Alan Benson has once again been stuck on a bloody train, left?
Underground. And isn't it an underground train? I thought it was a tube train.
Was it a tube train?
So they didn't get him off a tube train because he's at one that looks level.
Yeah.
But the station isn't accessible. Because, I mean, I go to Barcelona a lot. Barcelona, the underground system is phenomenal. It's at 290 stations, 7 aren't accessible. 7.
And yet our brand new Elizabeth line, brand new.
Yeah. No. Ironically, there was a huge campaign about the Elizabeth lines to get it accessible. I know because I was one of the people outside an office in Canary Wharf campaigning about it, and I got all my friends in television to come and report on it and stuff. And then I found out it was being built by Network Rail, who were my biggest employer at the time. And I got told into an office and told off. But they promised that it would be accessible. And what they've done is made all the new bits accessible, but a lot of the old bits aren't.
So tell me this, you've worked for Network Rail. Why is it our old-fashioned, so the Victorian type train stations, why can't they just build a ramped bit area that then goes level? So there's just a section, he's lost his earphone. There's just a section that is level so that, obviously you can't do one because they can't stop dead level at the doors. But if there was an area, say, of 30 feet that was raised, why is it not possible to do?
The reason that is given is that would work for, like, commuter trains, but goods trains, like freight,
right,
would hit the ramp.
What, they overhit the platform?
Yeah, they exactly. I have always gone and I only worked in Network Rail for 6 months as an employee, and I was a thorn in the side to a lot of people, I won't deny, because I kept pointing out that. So basically, I've always said, why don't you just raise the platforms up? I worked in France for a while with SNCF, the French rail service, and it's nationalised for one. So it's much easier to get things done because all of the stations, everything is run by the same company, and they buy things in bulk. So they have a warehouse filled with 5,000 lifts that they are slowly rolling out across the network. Whereas here we go, we're making a station accessible. Right, let's buy a lift. So we buy 1 lift and 2 lifts and 4 lifts. We don't buy 5,000 and then put them in. So they're all good. They're all standard.
We're still building footbridges that are stepped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, do you see that one up, the Flick Williams advertised up in York, that Network Rail is replacing a level crossing, which I understand because there have been lots of incidents of people, bipeds mainly, being unsafe and running across and being hit by trains and stuff. So that's got to be something answered. Funnily enough, I worked on this sort of area when I was there doing the EQIA, or Equality Impact Assessment, on how to do equality impact assessments for replacing of level crossings.
Yeah.
And basically what came up was the answers are bridge, leave, take out, and do nothing, which is not one we can say because of the chance of death and injury, or build a subway. Now, subways are expensive. They close the line.
They smell of piss.
Well, they do if you let people piss in them. But one of the problems they have is that they can go below the water table, which means they are liable to flood. Cost more to do. Also, in areas that are flat, they can flood if heavy rains happen, and we've got a lot of that in the UK at the minute. So you can end up with them. I mean, there's a subway opposite my mum and dad's house that regularly floods in Luton at the top of a hill, because basically the water rushes down to it, it overloads the drains and just floods up right up to the top. I mean, it takes ages to empty, and then you have to get all the rubbish out and stuff. So they're not good. So bridges. The problem was that I was part of a project to design a bridge with a 1 in 50 ramp. And this was going to make it so that it was it meant that you didn't need to put steps in because everyone can use them, because not everyone can use ramps.
No.
So you have to put steps as well to make them accessible. But it didn't really work because of the amount of space you need, and
yeah, you'd have to wheel half a mile down the road just to get to the beginning of the ramp.
Because they've got to be 5 meters high to get the trains and electrics through.
Yeah.
So then we said we'll put lifts in, but that costs money, and because of the way we do it, like I said, we buy. Oh, there's a lift. There's a bridge going in outside York. That's 2 lifts, one either side. So that will be probably about between 2 and 4 million quid to put those lifts in, right? Like I said, SNCF have a warehouse full of 5,000. So they don't buy 1, 2. They just go get them out and put them in. So they've got them all. It's like they pay I think they pay 500 quid a lift because they buy them in bulk, and they also buy them off another company that's also owned by the French government.
That's far too sensible for us.
I know.
With regards to the goods trains,
Yeah,
I would say, right, what I want set up on the edge of a platform is a balsa stick right at the edge. So it's weak, it's not causing damage, and I want to see if this gets knocked over. I want you to prove it to me.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So they've basically got trains with ramps now. SNCF, all the new trains have got an electric ramp that comes out. And it comes out, touches the platform. And all the way across the French network, they're doing it for next year's Olympic and Paralympic Games. They're raising and lowering the platforms of their stations to meet this new train design that they bought. It's exactly the same as most of the new trains we've bought, but we've bought them without the automatic ramp because our platforms aren't uniform. Theirs aren't uniform. They're making them uniform. So we could have done it. But our argument is, freight trains might hit the platform. And my argument was, well, why don't you just raise the freight trains up the same amount? Because they're only on bogies. You've got the freight boxes, and they're put on the train. All anything on a railway is sets of wheels and then stuff put on top. It's all
slapped on the same thing, yeah.
So even the trains that you get on are basically trains put on what are called bogies, which are sets of wheels. So you can easily raise everything up or lower everything. It's ever so easy. So why don't we do that? And the answer is,
don't want to. And yet they're getting away with it. It's law. Accessibility is law. And yet
God, trust me. So this is one of the big problems that happens, I think, in this country is we genuinely, most people think that there is a law about this stuff, the Equality Act, and there is. But if you go into any form of public transport, there are so many other regulations that trump it, because the Equality Act is always trumped by health and safety. So it's why venues can get away with being inaccessible, why pubs can get away with being inaccessible, why buildings can be built without fire escape, because they go, well, how do we do it? We can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's not accessible. So, and the same goes for, there are national, European and international standards that go across most public transport, and they don't fit. It's why, and this is why Sophie Morgan is having such a nightmare with her flying campaign. If you think about the worst one, it's flying, because you've got airports, airlines, aeroplanes, international, national, local, nightmare, right? And so what they do is you'll get someone that will register in a country that's really rubbish, that hasn't got any equality law, and then so when you land in a country with it, you say, but it doesn't apply to us because our registered office is in mountainous Crapsville.
I mean, luckily, the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority, are looking into this, and they've said it is totally unacceptable the way disabled
because you do all this stuff at Southend. What's it like at Southend? Southend
is really lovely. It is a really... Oh, hang on. He's lost his light. Southend Airport is a beautiful airport. It's a lovely little... It was RAF Rochford is what it used to be. It was actually busier than Heathrow in the 60s. But it kind of got outgrown because it was nowhere for it to go. But they've extended it, and we've got a new terminal and everything. And it's lovely. You go in, it's all level. It's the train station's right there. Look, I pulled out my headphones now. I'm having a right poxy nightmare. The train station's literally 100 meters away. straight into London. What would that line be? Southern Victoria, is that Liverpool Street? I think that's Liverpool
Yes,
Street.
Liverpool
isn't
Street.
it?
Yeah.
So straight there, straight across into the terminal, check-ins there, because it's not large. This is the thing. They can offer that personal touch. The Leicester straight there, up into security, back down into departures. And they are really good. I'm on their PRM, persons with reduced mobility. And it's all good but they can't guarantee then that you get on the plane and have an absolute nightmare. And of course, if someone gets on the plane and has a nightmare, they're flown from Southend, so they're going to blame Southend Airport in with the whole.
Do you know what? I don't know. I think the thing is, because I agree. My experiences have mostly been with airlines. Yeah, I have been left on planes for a longer period than I like, while the baggagey lot find the trolley and the scooty machine with the lift and all of that stuff. But I found that the flying bit is the bit that gets bad because of the fact you can't get to the toilet and all this kind of thing.
And now they're not putting aisle trolleys on, and yet those things fold up so small and going up, because it's all about this with airlines. When I can remember working on it was a BAC 111, and it held X amount of people, and they're like, right, we need you to move all the seats up by this amount so we can get another row of seats in. And we're like, but that won't give enough leg room. They're like, they want it. And it's ridiculous. Yeah. In America, apparently it's different. Apparently in America, they will bring your wheelchair on board.
Oh, I always insist my wheelchair comes on board. I don't get in the archer. I always
no. What I mean is they will keep it on board sometimes.
Oh, right, yeah. No. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, for us, it wouldn't be possible because our chairs are too big.
Yeah.
This is the thing. When they say, "Oh, well, I want someone to put our chair," they're talking about people with little dinky, winky wheelchairs. I mean, my wheels are 26-inch with mountain bike tires on. Yeah. So they ain't going to fit in anything.
And baggage is the problem is the damage is baggage handlers. People imagine inside the freight hold that it's all placed in nicely, it's all netted, it's all boxed in. No, they put all the stuff in, your wheelchair goes in, and then they take off, and all the luggage slides down that way, and then they hit turbulence, and then they come into land, and it all slides that way.
Also,
aluminium wheelchairs get squashed.
The thing that they don't talk about is the fact that for many aeroplanes, baggage. The baggage hold isn't pressurized or heated. No. So wheelchairs are made of metal. Metal don't like going up, freezing, boiling. So I mean, so you're
what is it, minus 20 something, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's minus 20. So all of the metal freezes, becomes brittle. So anything that hits it breaks it.
But they can do, because if you put a dog in the hold, they will eat.
Exactly. There is an area, but they don't put our chair in the area. It could be done much better. And I think the thing is, I think you're right. There's not a lot of sort of commitment and desire for change. And I think that's it.
And I don't like this new idea of, well, there's a seat and it lifts up and you roll in your wheelchair and you click in place. I don't want to be sat in this for a long haul flight. It would be horrible.
Yeah. I'm watching Paul Avril, who is currently apparently watching this on a train, or at least she was on the train. I'm reading that was heading up north. She had a nightmare at King's Cross.
She's currently on the train. Yes,
yeah, she's on the train now. I'm really shocked about King's Cross because King's Cross. I mean, the thing is, I haven't left the house for a year. Have I told you? So I haven't been on a train for so long. It used to be great. One of the really sad bits is that a lot of the train companies have got rid of their EDI departments, equality, diversity, and inclusion departments, that used to handle giving good customer service for disabled people. So it is, I feel, getting a bit bad out there. So she's not been put on the train properly, and there's been arguments over whether or not she booked. You don't need to book. Anyone out there who is going on a train, do not worry. You don't have to book legally since 2016. Yes. Turn up and go, TUAG, as they call it in the industry, because they can't actually have any words if you can do with an anachronism.
Oh, did I have an acronym?
So anyway,
I had a meeting about it.
Yeah, so exactly. There is an acronym for it. Or is it an acronym or an acronism? I can never remember.
It's one of them.
One of them two. Anyway, so turn up and go is a legal responsibility of all train companies.
Yeah.
So the only thing is, if you turn up and you say, I want to get on the next train, and the next train is in 10 minutes, they can refuse you because that's too quick. But if you turn up with enough notice, they cannot refuse you. So so the argument, oh, well, you didn't book, where's your pack? Where's your booking number?
See, I'm lucky. I could plop out on my backside, throw my chair out, and just scoot in. Yes, it'd be dirty and horrible, but I could do it. Now, got here, someone said they saw a video with Addy showing he put his RGK in the airline overhead box. Yes, lovely. Now, Addy, I think his bum's about that wide. Yeah.
Has anyone met Addy? He's a lovely guy. He's tiny.
He's tiny with just a big smile. He's the Cheshire Cat.
Right. Addy used to live near me in Shepherd's Bush, and I bumped into him in my local co-op. And it's, you meet him in TV stuff and you meet him in that kind of thing. And we're loads of wheelchair users. When there's only two of you, you kind of go, oh, wow. He's really broad.
Yeah, he's like that.
But he is tiny. Right, his head came just above my groin.
Yeah. Plus,
so he sits low because he's a sporty toucher, and his wheelchair is. But honest to God, you're right. His bum is probably that. So he's very little, and this is the thing: is that
he's light, so they can make a light chair. I'm not light. Yeah. My chair is, it's not going to fold.
But this is So the thing is that when they're making stuff for people, they always kind of go, well, here's a standard size.
Yeah.
Railways, there is a standard height of a wheelchair, and I am apparently about 15.5 centimeters too tall. But no one ever measures. They measure your width and they measure your depth.
Yeah.
And most chairs fit quite well into it. It's about 70 by 1.20, I think. So it's 1 meter 20 by 70 wide. Right. So most wheelchairs fit. Scooters, not so much, which is why they're always so hard on scooter users. But they don't talk about the height, but there is a height measurement that means you're not going to roll over and stuff. And for aeroplanes, it's going to be tiny because they're going to go, well, does it fit in the overhead locker?
Yeah, and those chairs are expensive. No. They're very expensive. I think they're the titanium ones and it all folds up just under where you sit, sort of clicks back.
Yeah, the wheel bars fold under, don't they? So the casters fold up. Thing is, that'd be great. But that's another thing to break while you're on holiday.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of money.
Yeah. The reason why we have rigid frame chairs is because they're built to last.
Yeah.
So, but
Addy reminds me of a guy. I had to go at wheelchair basketball many years ago, and there was a guy there called Hadge. And again, his bum was literally that wide, nothing of his legs, and he came out like that. Yeah. And this is why they're good at basketball. There's me, sort of like I was 18 stone there in my chair, and he got the ball and because his arms were like that. There's nothing of him. He was a powerhouse, and he was you just stood there like, I'm not even going to bother trying to catch him.
I mean, I won't deny I'm also like that. Although, admittedly, a year of sitting on my sofa, it's kind of gone a little bit more like that. I'm quite like that, but
I'm more like that from the side.
If you spend. If you got really fit, went down the gym and worked out, you'd still be a massive unit. I mean, what are you, 6 foot what?
I'm 6'4", but I've got a lot of height in my torso. I've got short legs but where I've lost the muscle over the years, my hips are basically right on my wheel guard. So I'm not going to get any narrower no matter what happens. I've just got this bit here. Yeah.
So we wouldn't, our chairs are huge. I think that's the thing is that, I understand you need a standard, and trust me, all of the transport industry is filled with standards. There are measurements for everything, right? And why accessible toilets are sometimes really weird is because the standards say that something's got to be a certain way, and you're like, why have you done? The best one is the emergency cord. The emergency cord on the designs for a toilet runs down the wall next to the handrail next to the toilet. And I've always, when they first came out, they weren't there. They were where you'd be if you fell out of your chair or fell out the toilet. So normally on the other wall somewhere, because it's unlikely you're on the bog and you're going to go, I think I'll pull the emergency cord because I need someone to come and help me off the toilet.
Yeah.
But you're likely to fall off and be stuck away
in the middle of the room.
Yeah. but the standards were set up and they've moved it there. So basically, if you fall off the toilet and you land somewhere, you've got to crawl back to the toilet and find the cord that's by the sink. In the meantime, if you're on the bog and you reach for the toilet roll, that's always behind you because it's never put here, it's always put there. So you're trying to do that, you accidentally pull the emergency cord, and then you notice that the button to turn it off is on the wall on the other side of the toilet.
Yeah.
All standard placement for things. And this
I dislike it. Like Southend
point.
Hospital have put in those Dyson hand dryers where you put your arms in. Now I'm 55, and when I put it in, it's like it's trying to de-sleeve me. Fucking things.
So they're always put at person height, at standing height.
Yeah.
So you wheel up to them and you're like, I can't get my hands in them. So then you put them in sideways and they don't work. And you're like, oh, for God's sake, just give me a towel.
Another thing, transport, getting back to trains, I saw somebody had said, you know, the problem is they'd got on a train, they'd pre-booked, they've got their wheelchair space. And what was in the wheelchair space, Mick? Go on, I haven't told you the story, but you're going to tell me what was in that wheelchair space.
Hang on, Mystic Meg.
Go on, Mystic, go on.
I feel someone's coming through. And they're telling me that it's very likely it was luggage.
Lots of luggage.
Or a pushchair.
No, it was luggage. And they said to people, you know, excuse me, is this your luggage? And everyone just stay quiet. I mean, I'd have turfed it out.
Right. And this, you see, is where disabled people can be too polite. I have regularly picked up luggage and thrown it up the aisle of a train. I can't get up the aisle. I don't care. If it's blocked with luggage, I don't care. And I've thrown it up the aisle going, I don't know whose bloody luggage this is, but it's in my space. I've done it on the train to Barcelona, where people put the luggage next to my chair so I couldn't get to the toilet. So I just picked it up, threw it down the drain. I've done it on all manner of trains. I've done it on buses. I do it all over the shop because it's my space. It says wheelchair space. So, but I've done a lot of things like that. The other thing I do at the moment, and this is probably our last bit that we can talk about because I've got to go to get ready for Beyond Joel's show, which is in a little while, is all of the new hire bikes.
Oh.
I don't know what it's like down in Southend, but
no, we don't have them. We don't have them, but I've seen countless photos and videos of Lime. Is it Lime bikes?
Lime, yeah. Like in Camden at the minute, it looks like it's a bit like it's been invaded by a disease of Lime bikes, and they're all breeding, and you find them all in different places. They're just everywhere. And I now mostly, if they're in my way, pick them up and throw them in the road.
Good.
Because if you park them on the pavement, they're obstructing. I mean, I don't care if they get run over; it's not my problem. No. So, because they make a noise. Also, they make a noise, and apparently, if you don't stop moving this bicycle, we will contact the police. Good, because then you move it. So I just throw them, kick them over, and then, or you can knock them over and then nudge them into the road with your wheelchair.
No, we don't have that here yet. We're now a city. I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting.
You watch, Donna. See, the great thing is now, and this is something actually we could end on this. Is what you've got with Donna is what we all need. We either need ourselves in our local councils or allies, someone from our family, someone who we know that will listen to us, because there's too much emphasis on money and, and kind of, what does it mean for business? What does it mean for the shops in the area? And it's like, it doesn't mean good things. This hire scheme thing, like I can see the seafront, I can see scooters becoming really popular where you are, right? But they are dangerous. One, they're dangerous for pedestrians, they're dangerous for other road users, but they're dangerous for the user.
Yeah.
Loads of people.
The last thing we had was those bikes with two front seats and rear seats, and you all sat there in the middle and you hired them and you ped with the little shade on the top. That's the last thing we had here, with a Kiss Me Quick hat.
Yeah, that's bad. So we didn't actually talk about a lot of transport, but we kind of covered it. We haven't actually covered any solutions. We've not come up with any ideas. But that was a good old chat, I thought. And everyone.
I'm gonna get in again. There's my Twitter handle @SatOnMyButt. Please go on Twitter and share my fundraiser. It's on there as a pinned post. I know that Jamie, it took him 18 months for his fundraiser. So if I go on that time scale, I won't have it this summer or next summer. but it will literally allow me to get out and free me. And I know we're all struggling financially, all of us, but I just need it to get out to the names, the people. Unfortunately, I don't have something that is charity based as an illness. Otherwise, then they jump on board and help.
Yeah,
and I'm not cute and little.
I think that was the last thing we should have really talked about was the cost of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, almost £5,000.
Yeah, about £5,000 for these attachments. Wheelchairs 3 to 5. 6.
I got a Ford Galaxy, a 2014 Ford Galaxy. We've had 3 years. That cost £5,000.
I've always said that actually it'd be cheaper to buy a little smart car and drive it around like my wheelchair, and at least then I'd be out of a passenger, than it would be to buy a wheelchair, because this chair and that thing together cost £11,500.
Yeah, the cushion I'm sat on was £650. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the wheels on a chair are about £1,000, right? And yet they come with it normally, obviously, because it would be useless without. But they add that to the cost of your chair. But yet, if you bought them for a bike, they're £500 a pair. The same wheels.
Well, I was looking at, I need to get some mountain bike wheels for mine. It'll allow me to get around in the garden easier. Yeah. And you're looking at around about £400 for a pair of wheels. And I'm like, I can buy a decent bike for that.
Wow. Well, like I said, that you don't have to worry about. I've got millions of pairs of wheels. If it
Mik's got more wheels than
I've
RGK.
got all the wheels, mate. I've got all the wheels. So I can bung you a pair of those with mountain bike tyres on already. But anyway, I'm going to have to go.
Yes.
Because I've got to go and get ready to be on another podcast that starts at 7 o'clock with the wonderful Joel Nelson, where we'll be talking about pain. Pain. So thank you so much, Zec. Thank you, lovely viewers. I'm sorry we didn't read out so many of your comments this time, mainly because we've been having a chat, and also I can't see any of them.
It's too vain to put on a pair of glasses,
Yeah, no, because I've started having to wear reading glasses to do anything on my computer. So,
look at very newsreader now.
Oh, now I can read them. Here we go. There we go. There is
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Yes. Hello, everybody. There's Katie's here. Ambrose here. I can see that people are here. I know the people. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye because I've got less than 5. I've got about 8 minutes to get ready for the next one. So I'm going to get the puff out of the way, light up the room better and everything. So it's been wonderful, folks.
Better lighted, do they? Fuck, typical.
Yeah. No. It's just it got dark while we were on it.
All right, I'll let you off.
So we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. We must have a think about a guest.
I've got a guest. There's something.
What can we talk about? We could. I reckon we could have Donna on and talk about local politics.
Oh, don't
get her to give us advice on local politics and how we should best fight for our rights. I think that's a future show.
Fight for our rights.
Then that way you could be in one room and she could be another as a guest, and it'd be really funny.
No, I'll go watch telly and leave her with you.
Right. I suppose I should say goodbye. And like I said, see you all in about 5 minutes over at Joel Nelson's The Chronic Playing Clubs podcast. I should know what it is. In fact, hold on. I'm very
Go on, give it a plug.
I'm professional here. Here we go. So it is available on youtube.com/Joel's Arthritis. Joel versus Arthritis. So Joel, Joel, JOLEL. JOEL versus VS Arthritis.
Doesn't sound as good as David versus Goliath, does it, though?
It's also available on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I shall love you and leave you. See you all again in 2 weeks' time for more of the same. And right, I'm going. You can stay if you want, mate.
I'm going to go and watch telly. We will see you next time. Bye.
See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.